Hi, I'm Paul Brodie. We're in my shop again. Mitch behind the cameras. Mitch and I like coffees. If you watch our video on how we made a small fortune, you'll understand why coffee is so important to us. If you remember, $4 a month, you get extended videos. That's going to be starting very, very soon. Last time on our video, we did the WOZNOT, and there were some comments. There was a couple comments asking about the frame in the background, a cantilever frame, and I was scratching my head over this one because a cantilever frame, I couldn't figure out what they were talking about, and then I'm thinking, oh, you probably mean the shaft drive bike. So why don't we wander back over here, have a look at the shaft drive bike. I built this back in 2015, I can't remember, I'd have to look it up. It went down to the NAB show where it largely got ignored a whole lot, but I still have it. It's going to be in the bike show in less than 3 weeks. Yes, less than 3 weeks. So I'm going to show you around the shop a little bit, and then we're going to talk about the break of the WOZNOT, but I'll show you what's going on in preparation for the bike show. I got a donor bike off of Ride On Cycles in Vancouver on Broadway, and it was a shaft drive bike. It was a lady's bike. It was pink. And all I used basically was this. I made a new bottom bracket because there was aluminum bottom bracket and the steel frame was bolted on. So I made up a whole bottom bracket. I got photos of all this. Mitch, you could do a little slideshow probably of this process. And this is what I used. And then I wanted a cruiser style frame with the curved tubes. I think this is what they were talking about, those viewers, when they talked about a cantilever frame. I don't think of it as a cantilever frame, it's a cruiser. So it all works. Got the Hope disc brakes, very nice, and I'll swing it around. I want to show you the cable routing. There's only one internal cable, so it goes in here. It's a hydraulic line, and then and the trick here is that it goes in and it has to go around the bottom bracket and then come out the stay. But I like the routing here. This is really, really clean. Happy with that. See all these wooden boxes here? I'm making some stands for the bike show. So I got a lot of stands to make. There's a lot of prep going on. In the 80s, I started a business called Brodie Bikes, and I got married in the same month. And my wife, Jane, was a seamstress, and a good one. And she also had a flair for art and design. And she made the banner, the Brodie banner. That was probably 88, 89, I don't know. And then we had it, and we hung it up in the trees at a race. I think it was up in Squamish. 1994, and it disappeared 30 years ago, so I've been trying to get it back. So I posted on Facebook, there's a $1,000 reward. No questions asked, nobody gets beat up, nothing. So I'd like to have it back. You can think of it as a reward for keeping it safe for 30 years. I think that's a good way to look at it. So in the meantime, I've been trying to make one. So this is my attempt here. I'm learning how to tie-dye, and it's not easy, especially replicating something, because I can't watch the technique and things I did 30, 40 years ago. I can't remember how I did it. I'm going to show you on the brake. There's a part of the brake which needs machining, and I can't remember how I did it. So okay, I'm going to show you what I got at the swap meet next, because these are all parts for the WOZNOT. And then we'll go over and we'll look at the brake, okay? Like a little mini shop tour in a way. And then I think I'm going to get on the mill and drill some holes, okay? All right, I got a handlebar. It's just flat, bulge in the middle, inch diameter. Those are getting a little harder to find. I got some hand grips. I don't know, they just look cool. A brand new 7-speed cassette, never used. That's cool. I got the silver U-brakes. They're hard to find. I think these are DX or something, but I'm gonna sand them, Scotch Brite them, and they'll look kind of matte, so they'll be working fine. Got some XT levers. I got these off of Steve Mitchell, and He thinks he did this back in the day, he says. So I'm gonna match this one. I'm gonna use an end mill or something and make that match. I'll get a spray bomb, paint them all. Got a set of XT cranks, 175. They also need a bit of polishing. And look at that, it's BioPace. Remember those? In the day, back in the 80s when I started riding mountain bikes, I had BioPace and I had 180 millimeter cranks. I had long legs. That's what I used back in the day. Now everyone's going short. 155 cranks, maybe good for downhill, but anyway, that's it. Now we're going to go over to the bench, look at the brake. We're back on the bench, and I want to show you the brake. Here is the brake that's on the WOZNOT. I've taken it all apart, and you can see what it looks like. Here's, for comparison, this is a Shimano U-brake, and first of all, let's look at how the pads mount, because these have a thread and a nut, whereas this is different. What I did on this is going to take a little bit of explaining. Back in, 87, I was experimenting with forks and brakes, and I had a Bontrager fork. It was a composite fork, and I bought an Interlock IRD U-brake. And what I'm using here, this is all the mounting hardware off the IRD brake, and it's a different system. Can you see how these go in on either side like that? And it all clamps. Can you see how that works? And so the pad, or the brake pad, it doesn't have a thread here. This is a post, and the post mounts like so, which is fine. It's just that I have to make all this, and the part that's puzzling me, I mean, on a lathe that's not a big deal. I won't do the knurl. It's also got a knurl on the back, so that's kind of cool. I don't know quite how you make that. But this is what I can't remember. I can't remember how I did that. It probably happened on the mill, and I had some special tool, because it's on both sides, and it looks like I did a pretty nice job. When I look at these, look at that. I didn't even finish it off there. A little bit rough in there. Anyway. Okay, it's got a bushing here, so I'm gonna make up some bushings. I got bronze, so I'm gonna do that. And then there's, what would you call this? A sleeve. It's not a hardened sleeve because this thing doesn't get used much, but it slips in there, and so that's a much. See here. If I measure this. I wanted to make this as long as possible. That was part of my thinking when I made the brake. Okay, so it's got a bushing in there, and the bushing is that long, 660 thou. See how much longer my bushing is? So there's going to be a lot less flex. And I put grease nipples in there. I got new grease nipples, but I've noticed that even though there's a grease nipple, this one is seized in there. So we're going to take that out now, see how much it's stuck. And what I want to do today is I just couldn't do it by my hand, that's all. So that's the other one. I'm going to use a piece of cold rolled steel, and I'm going to make those guys. Got to make all these parts. Booster, that's no problem. So the big thing is how do I do that? But first of all, I got a piece of metal, $35 for a metal knot. And out of this, I can basically make a cup. See how it just fits on there. Not a lot of extra room. Like that. I can make 2 boosters out of that. A little bit extra there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark out these holes. They don't have to be super accurate. I'm not going to make a drawing. I'm just going to make it. Mark the holes, and then I can trace the shape with a red Sharpie. the red Sharpies, and we'll just go from there. This is what I got to figure out. I'm going to have to make a tool, I think, because it's not a perfect radius like that. I can't get a ball end mill. It's kind of like a scoop like that. I did get this. Can you see this? I tried to figure it out. This is a 1/4 inch radius. It's from Fuji Tool. And it's kind of hard to see the lighting. It's a little larger radius than that, but I don't believe that it's a full circle radius. It's just a radius kind of, it could be like a 3/8 radius or something like that. So I'm gonna have to figure that out and make a tool. But first of all, we're gonna do this. So when you're making something like this, you have to think of the sequence. And you also have to think of how to hold it. So I'm going to leave this as large as possible. This is going to be on the ends so that I can put it into the vise in the mill. So first thing I'm going to do is to put this into the mill, and I'm going to face off the ends so that they're square and an even surface, a machine surface. And then when this goes into the vise, I'll have a stop. Everything comes off that. I can flip it round and drill the other hole. So let's go to the mill. Thanks for tuning in. Gonna make a few chips. There we go. Now I can see exactly where I am. This one's easy to describe because it's right down and the bushing goes all the way to the surface. This one is up a little bit, but if I hold this straight up and down as best I can, I think that'll be okay. There we go. So look, I got 3 holes there. So I'm going to mark the center of them. Red Sharpie to the rescue. And as long as I get them pretty close, that'll be fine. I'm kind of eyeballing here. It's kind of fun making something and not having a drawing, because you just sort of have to wing it and go with it. Although you do need some kind of a plan on the sequence of machining operations. Okay, this is the other thing I wanted to think about. I'll trace the outline just so that I know what I'm thinking here. I face these ends, right? When I drill this one like that, when I flip it around, okay, then it'll be the same. I've got all the centers marked now. I'm using the digital readout so I can go back and forth and get the exact centers. Now I'm going to drill these 2 holes 6 millimeters. I can always drill them bigger later, but we'll get the 6 mil in there. These last 2 holes are the ones that get the bronze bushing, so I'm going to drill them, and then we're going to use the boring bar and finish them off. I don't have to be super accurate on this bore because I'm going to make the bronze bushing to fit. It's going to be size on size or half a thou press fit, if you're thinking as a machinist. Oh, that turned out fine. So I'll take one more small cut, because the second time down it always takes off a thou or something, makes it nice and smooth. Can you see those little chips? They're very tiny. That's my stop. It's working just fine. Okay, a couple more cuts and then we're done here. I got bushing material, so what we have to do is to figure out, ID is going to be 1/2 inch. I got a reamer at the lathe. We need to know the OD and the width. So the width is basically going to be the same as this, 0.999. So basically an inch for the width, 1.0. So this is what we need to do now. These holes we just bored. So we use a telescoping gauge. It's also called a snap gauge. See how I put it at an angle and then I lock it and then I lift it over center, and that makes the exact size. And then check it with a micrometer and it's like 698. It's almost 700. Well, that's really close. I'm going to pot off now. I don't normally do this. So it shouldn't go in too tight, but oh, look at that. Oh, that's a good fit. Let's go do the other one. This one's a little tighter, but it's in. I know I'm going to have to hone that out a little bit. I feel like we made some progress today. Next week we'll finish this off. I'll make all the small parts in the meantime. Mitch and I like coffees. Please help support us. Like, subscribe. See you next time.